Hello and welcome back to the Solo Gamers Club. We're continuing with our playthrough of Fortune and Glory, the cliffhanger game. And we're going against the mob. This is episode 3. I have one correction from the previous turn, and that was when Jenny Butler was in Los Angeles recovering from being KO'd. In the end phase, she stood up and there was an enemy thug in that location. And it actually reads this way. It says that if a henchman figure ever appears in a hero's space, that hero must immediately fight the henchman outside of the normal turn of sequence. So it is true that if you move into a space with an enemy model, you have to fight it. But also, if you're in the space and one appears, or in this case, if she recovered from her KO, she needs to combat that figure. So we're going to have a combat against the mobsters. The mobsters have a fight dice of 3 with 4 wounds. Now, Jenny is able to attempt to escape from them. Now, what that would mean is the model would remain in Los Angeles and she would have to move to an adjoining space, but she would not have to continue to fight these mobsters. So that is an option for us. They have 4 wounds, and Jenny has a combat value of 2, so that might be a little tough. But Jenny does have the competitive ability, which is going to give her +2 fight dice against any mob. So I think we're going to try to fight this out, at least for the time being. So we'll make our first round of fight dice rolls right now. So with Jenny's competitive ability, she'll be rolling a total of 4 dice, and the mobsters are going to get 3, so we do have a slight advantage. And here's the roll. Okay, Jenny ended up getting 3 hits, and the mobsters have 1 hit. So the mobsters do not have a defense value, so all 3 of those hits are going to turn into wounds to them. Jenny has a defense of 1, so the mobsters' 1 hit that they have is going to be nullified. So we're going to put 3 wound tokens on the mobsters, and then we are ready to fight another round. So we'll give them 3 wound tokens, and then we're going to roll for another round. Okay, here's the roll. And that time, Jenny had no hits, and the mobsters had 2 hits. One of those is going to be absorbed with Jenny's defense, and she's going to take a wound. And we'll have to go on with a 3rd round. All right, and here's our next round of combat. And that time, she was able to get 2 hits, and that's going to end up taking those mobsters out, which is a great thing. She's going to earn 3 glory for that, and the mobster's token will be removed from the board. That's great. And that'll complete our corrections from the last turn, and now we're going to go into a new turn with our initiative roll. And here's our initiative roll. All right, the roll is a 5 for Angel Espinosa. She is going to be our first player. Now the villain track is at 12, so if it hits 15, we're going to lose. So we may have to end up making an assault on either the mob HQ or one of the mob hideouts. We'll have to see how this goes. But I think what we'll end up doing is, my plan for this turn is to try to get Li Mei Chen to Los Angeles. She has a secret delivery card that would earn her between 1 and 6 fortune for that, and then at the same time she would be able to make an assault on the mob HQ that is there. She's a little bit better qualified, I think, at doing that than Jenny Butler is. Li Mei Chen has that stealth ability, which allows her to re-roll a single die on a sneak test, and as infiltrating mob HQs requires a sneak, she'll be probably the best qualified for that. And then for Angel and Jake, I'm probably going to end up trying to send them to the Caribbean where they can undertake the Shield of Time adventure. All right, we'll make a roll for movement for Angel Espinosa. She's currently in Amazon Falls with Jake Zane. Now, Angel has 2 wounds right now out of her possible 5. So we might have to be aware of that at least. Okay, here's the roll for movement for her. She rolls a 1. Okay, that's going to entitle her to an event card draw. And she pulls Too Close. Play to force a test, just roll to be entirely re-rolled. This may be used on yourself or another hero or villain. Okay, we'll add that to our tally of cards. Angel only has 1 movement point, so I think what we'll do is we'll move her into the Gulf of Mexico, and then that would allow her to go in either direction. She can either head for the Caribbean and try to undertake that adventure, or she could head towards one of the Mob HQ or one of the hideouts in the US there and possibly make a run at one of those. We might have to end up doing that. Okay, that completes Angel Espinosa's move. We'll go on to Li Mei Chen. She's in London. All right, Li's in London, and we'll have her roll for movement. Okay, she rolls a 4. We'll see what we can do with that. Well, I do have the choice of sending her into Western Europe, and she could try to confront Joey Smiles, who is there. He's looking for the Spear of Atlantis. But I think we better start moving Li towards those Mob HQs and the mob hideouts. So she's going to move 1 into British Isles and 3 more into the North Atlantic for 4 movement points. And now it's Jake Zane's turn. He's in Amazon Falls. We'll have him roll for movement. And he rolled a 2. Okay, so I think we'll have him try to start that adventure in the Caribbean. So he's going to move 1 into Gulf of Mexico and 2 into the Caribbean, where he's going to try to undertake that Shield of Time adventure. Now, the problem with that one, it says any dangers not completed during the current game round do not count towards recovering the artifacts. That means you've got to complete all 3 dangers at one time in order to acquire that object. And now we'll make a roll for Jenny Butler. We'll see what her movement roll is, and that'll help us decide what's the best course of action here. Okay, here's the roll. She rolls a 5. Okay, we'll see what we can do with that. Well, it's kind of a risk, but I think I might have Jenny Butler travel to Washington, D.C. and take on that mob thug. She has that great advantage with that competitive ability, and she does have 1 wound, though, right now, out of her total of 5, but I think we'll try to do that. That would earn her some glory in the process as well. So Jenny's going to move to Washington, D.C. That's 1, 2, and 3. So she enters Washington, D.C., and we have to immediately fight that mob thug. All right, once again, Jenny will be rolling 4 combat dice, and the mobsters get a total of 3 fight dice. Okay, here's the first round's roll. And Jenny did very well. She has a total of 3 hits. The mobsters ended up getting 1, and that's going to be absorbed by her defense. So we're going to inflict 3 wounds on those mobsters. She's very skilled at dealing with them. We'll mark them with 3, and we're going to do another fight round. Okay, here's the roll. Jenny ended up getting no hits. No hits. The mobsters ended up with 2 hits, and of which one of those is going to translate into a wound. So that is going to be the 2nd wound now on Jenny, and we'll mark her accordingly. Okay, we'll move on to a 3rd round. See if she can take these out before she gets KO'd. And she ended up doing it. She's got 2 hits. That'll be sufficient to take out the mobsters. The mobsters ended up doing 3 damage to her, of which 2 of those will become wounds. So Jenny is going to be at 4 wounds out of her total of 5, but the mobsters are killed. She's going to earn 3 glory for that, and the mobster thug is removed from the board. It's great. All right, then we move on to our adventure phase, and that's going to start with Angel Espinosa. She is in the Gulf of Mexico. Angel's going to have a sea adventure, so we're going to roll a d6 and see what happens to her. She rolls a 4, and that's going to entitle her to an event card draw. And she gets, I'll take that, event Treachery. Play to steal any one artifact or gear from another hero in the same space, or play while in the same space as a villain and roll a d6. On a roll of 3+, steal any one artifact that the villains currently have. Wow, that's a powerful card. Great. That completes Angel Espinosa's adventure phase. We'll move on to Li Mei Chen. She's in the North Atlantic. All right, and Li is going to have a sea adventure as well. Okay, here's the roll. She rolls a 3, so that's uneventful travel. Nothing happens. So she's just making her way across the North Atlantic. And now we'll move on to Jake Zane, and he is in the Caribbean. And Jake is in the Caribbean. He's going to undertake the Shield of Time adventure. Now, in order to acquire this artifact, he's going to have to complete all 3 of the dangers in one turn. Otherwise, none of those will apply towards recovering the artifact. So this is his first danger. The first danger is a horse chase. You'll have to ride faster if you want to catch up to the speeding truck. Danger, animal chase. And he can undertake either an agility test or a cunning test. And Jake's agility is a 4, so we'll probably go with that. It'll be an agility 5+ test, and we need 2 successes. Okay, and here's the roll. And believe it or not, he has no successes. We'll see if there's any cards we can play. And we're going to play an event card called Too Close. Play to force a test just rolled to be entirely re-rolled. This can be used on yourself or another hero or villain. Okay, we're going to re-roll that set of dice. And he ended up with 2 successes, and that's enough to complete that horse chase. So we've got one of those done. We'll give him a danger marker. And that means he's completed the first of the 3 dangers. And we'll see what's next. And our next adventure is Gambling Den. You find yourself in a smoky back alley gambling den. In a high-stakes game of cards, what could possibly go wrong? Danger, luck, and mob. Has a glory value of 2. Choose a number between 1 and 6 and roll dice equal to your cunning. If any of the dice rolled, the number of the dangers passed. If not, the test is failed. Go to the cliffhanger. All right, well, Jake Zane has a cunning value of only 2. But we do have a card, we have an event card called I've got an idea. Play on any hero to give them +2 cunning. So if we do need that, we can do that. So I think we're going to pick, let's see, we'll pick number 3. So he's going to choose number 3. And we're going to make a roll using his cunning, which is 2 dice. So we want to get a 3 in this case. And if we can, we'll pass the test. Okay, here's the roll. And we failed. So I think we have no choice but to play that card. And we're going to play, I've got an idea. And that's going to gain +2 cunning for 1 test. So we'll roll another 2 and see what happens. We're looking for a 3. Here's the roll. And we failed. And I'll see if there's any other cards that we can play. Well, I do have one other card, and that would be another one of those Too Close cards, and that would allow us to force a test just rolled to be entirely re-rolled. So we might do that. I think we will. And the question is do we get to roll all 4 dice with that I've got a feeling or I've got an idea card? That's the question. Play to force a test just rolled. So I think just rolled would be only his 2. So we're going to re-roll those 2. I think that's all we get out of it. We're looking for a 3. Here's the roll. And we failed. So that's going to go to a cliffhanger. And the cliffhanger is out of luck. Okay, and that means we're going to lose our danger token because we have to It says any dangers not completed during the current game round do not count. All right, so that is the situation. And now we'll move on to Jenny Butler. She's in Washington, D.C., so she's going to have to undertake a city adventure. And the card is revealed to be Trouble in Town. City event. Draw a random villain. Before you can interact with the city in any way, you must first sneak past the villain, fighting as normal if discovered. Afterward, the villain is removed from the board, and you can interact with the city as normal. Okay, we're going to draw a villain card. And the villain is revealed to be Herr Teufel, occult specialist. All right. Herr Teufel has a search value of 4, so he'll be rolling 4 dice, and we have to pick a search number, and I'm going to pick, I think, 5. So we're going to be using search number 5, and we'll see what happens. Okay, here's the roll. And he rolled no 5s, so that's good. Herr Teufel will exit the board, and we can continue on with our interaction with the city. All right, Jenny has a total of 13 glory, and she does have a special ability called Starlet, and it says that she can buy allies for 2 less glory than normal. So I think we'll start out by buying an ally, and that'll cost her 3 glory. That'll move her down to 10 glory, and her ally is revealed to be a burglar. Ally Thief Stealth gives her +1 to agility, and when she activates him, she may copy the activate ability of any other card in play. All right, well, we'll have to see how that works out. Unfortunately, he only has a loyalty of 1, and the mob has that special intimidation ability where before we activate a ally, we have to do a loyalty 4+ test, so he would only be rolling 1 die in that case, but it does give her +1 agility. Now Jenny has that entourage card that will allow her to carry up to 3 more allies than normal and can have up to 2 sidekicks. So I think we'll purchase another ally for her, and that'll bring her down to 7 glory, and we'll see what ally we get. And that's a personal butler. Ally Social gives her +1 to cunning, and when he's activated, gain +3 adventure dice for any trap test. If the test is failed, discard this ally. Now he's a little bit better loyalty. He's got a loyalty of 4, so that's pretty good. We'll add that to her list of cards. And she has 7 glory left. So even with the mob's extortion value, we'll be able to afford a gear card. That'll cost us all 7 of the glory. So I think we'll do that. We'll have her purchase a gear card for 7. And I've decided against purchasing a gear card. She has 4 wounds, so we need to really heal those. Otherwise, we're risking her getting KO'd. So I'm going to spend 4 glory for her to get completely healed. And that will wipe out all those wound counters that she has. And that'll leave her with 3 glory left, and I think we'll just keep that. We could purchase another ally for her, but we need some glory there in case she does get KO'd. Otherwise, we're going to be losing things. So we'll just end our adventure phase there, and we'll move on to the villain phase. And we'll begin the villain phase with a draw of the villain event deck. And the cards revealed to be Double Cross. Villain event Treachery. All allies must immediately make a loyalty 4+ test. Discard if failed. For every ally discarded in this way, move the villain track 1 step forward. Whoa. Well, that's definitely not good.
I'm going to make him an offer again with you.
Well, the only hero that has any allies is Jenny Butler, those 2 that she just acquired, the burglar and the personal butler. Now, I do have the ability to cancel a villain event. But even if both of those allies ended up to be, they failed their loyalty tests, that would only move up the track 2 points and we'd still be beneath 15. I wanted to use that card to cancel that Gold Fever because that's adding in another 2 points of fortune that we need to win the game, but I want to keep that card more for like an emergency to stop us from an instant loss of some kind. So we'll make the roll for these loyalty tests. We'll start with the burglar. He has a loyalty value of 1, so that allows him 1 die. And he needs to roll a 4 or greater, otherwise he's discarded and the villain track will move up 1. Here's the roll. He did. He passed it, so the burglar is remaining loyal to her. Now we have the personal butler. He has a loyalty value of 4, so he'll be allowed to roll 4 dice, and he needs to get at least a 4 or greater. And no problem. So both of the allies pass the tests, and we lose no advancement on the villain track. That's great. Okay, now we'll move on to the outpost step, and we're going to make a roll for the Mob HQ and see if a mobster thug is deployed. On a roll of 4, 5, or 6, that's what's going to happen. Here's the roll. Rolled a 1, so we're fortunate in that. Next part of the outpost step is for every one of these mob hideouts, they're going to gain 1 fortune. So they're going to gain 2 fortune, and they're going to trade in, that would give them a total of 4. They're going to trade 3 of those in, and that's going to move the villain track up 1. So that's going to go up to 13. All right, now it's the villain adventure step, and we'll start with Joey Smiles. He's currently in Western Europe. He's seeking the Spear of Atlantis. He needs to get 3 successes in order to acquire that artifact. If he does that, they're going to gain 2 points on the villain track, and we're going to lose. So we'll just have to see what happens. Joey Smiles has a search value of 5. And so he'll be rolling 5 dice for the test. And here's the roll. And he rolled a total of 2 successes. So that's going to give him 2 danger tokens towards acquiring that artifact. That gives us some time at least. So we'll give Joey 2 of those tokens, 2 danger tokens. And now we move on to Mickey the Hammer Schultz. He's ready at the HQ, so he's going to deploy to the most valuable artifact on the board that does not have a villain already on it. And that's going to be the Shield of Time, located in the Caribbean, where we have Jake Zane. And so we move on to the end phase. There is no replenishment, and no allies or no heroes need to recover. So we're going to move on to a new turn. We're really at a tough point here. All right, we're going to roll for our initiative phase. And the initiative is going to go to Jenny Butler, and we're going to be able to draw 2 event cards, which might be helpful for us. First event card is Expanding Influence. Play immediately. Place a mobster thug in 2 random cities on the board. Limit 1 per city, and then we have to reshuffle the deck. Okay, well, let's see which cities that's going to happen in. First one is in Sydney. It's down in Australia, so we'll place one in Sydney. And another one is going to appear in Paris. There's already one in Paris. So we can't place it there. It says limit 1 per city. Normally, if you can't place a mobster thug, the villain track goes up 1. So that's what's going to happen. We're up to 14 now. All right, now we have to reshuffle the event deck. All right, so the event deck is reshuffled. We'll draw a second card that we're supposed to get from the initiative phase, and that's Lucky Find. Play on any hero, including yourself, when they complete a danger. That hero may immediately draw a gear card. Limit 1 victory card per danger completed. Okay. So we'll move on to our movement phase. We'll start with Jenny Butler. She's in Washington, D.C., and we'll have her roll for movement. I think she's going to end up staying there, but we'll see what happens. She rolls a 5. Okay, yeah, we're going to keep her in Washington, D.C., because I think what's going to happen is she's going to have to make a run at that mob hideout. It's the only way we're going to be able to reduce the villain track. So she'll stay where she is. Next up would be Angel Espinoza. She is in the Gulf of Mexico, so we'll make a roll for her movement. She rolls a 1. That'll entitle her to an event draw, and she gets too close. Play to force a test just rolled to be entirely re-rolled. That's great. That'll give her just enough movement to get her into a combined adventure with Jake Zane in the Caribbean. So that's great. Next is Li Mei Chen. She's in the North Atlantic. We'll have her roll for movement. She rolls a 1 that entitles her to an event draw. Spread of the Crimson Hand. Play immediately. Place 2 Crimson Hand acolytes on any 2 artifacts. Limit 1 per artifact adventure. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to pick 2 of them that we're not going to be using in the short term. So I'll get a couple of acolytes out. And we'll place one of those acolytes in the steps, and that's with the Shroud of the Crimson Hand adventure. That's thematic, at least. And we'll place one in Italy, I think, and that will be the Cup of the Cursed Eye. So Lee has 1 movement point available, and I think the best thing we can do is to move her into Western Europe, and at least she can contest Joey Smiles' attempt at getting that artifact. Maybe she can engage him in combat and take him out and prevent him from gaining that artifact. All he needs is 1 more danger, and he'll have the artifact. So that's the only thing we can do. And then lastly, we have Jake Zane. He is currently in a cliffhanger, so all he can do is roll for an event card. And he rolled a 4, so no luck there. That'll complete the movement phase, and then we'll proceed on with the adventure phase. All right, Jenny Butler is the first player. She's in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to have her conduct a city adventure. And then we can decide if we wish to go after that mob hideout. And we can do that either before or after interacting with the city. So we'll draw a city card. And Jenny draws the card, Just Another Day in the City. City event, you may fully heal. Well, it's too bad we paid for her healing last time, but we didn't know this was coming. Well, as a part of the new advanced elements in the Rise of the Crimson Hand expansion, there's something called Major City Epic Events. And it says, anytime a hero in a major city draws the city card Just Another Day in the City, after resolving the card, they must roll a d6 on the Major City Epic Events chart for that city. All right, I'll bring that chart up on the screen, and we're going to make a d6 roll against that and see what happens. All right, we'll be looking in the Washington, D.C. category, and here's the d6 roll. Rolled a 3, and that says, Tailed by G-Men. The plane car in your rearview mirror has been following you for hours. By the look of them, they're FBI. You had better try to lose them. Make an agility 5+ test. We need 2 successes, and it counts as a chase. If failed, they run you off the road and confiscate any artifacts you are carrying. Lose D6 glory. If passed, you manage to shake them in the back streets of DC, gain 5 glory. All right, well, we are going to have to perform an agility test. 5+, and we need 2 successes. Jenny has an agility of 3, and the burglar that she has as an ally will give her +1 to agility. So she's got a total of 4 agility, and we'll see if we can pass this test. Okay, here is the roll. And she's got 3 successes. That's plenty to pass that. That means that we have gained 5 glory. That is great. Jenny has a total of 8 glory right now, and I think what's going to happen is this. I'm going to buy a gear card, and then we are going to attempt to infiltrate that mob hideout. and we'll see if we can take that thing out. So to start out, we are going to interact with the city, and I think rather than take a chance, I'm going to begin by selling the Dagger of the Golden Sun. And that's going to get us a total of 5 fortune points, because we can always sell in a major city, we can sell a artifact for 1 greater than its total. So we're going to gain 5 fortune for that. That moves us up to a total of 9 fortune out of the currently 42 that we need. So I think that's the safest play, because if she does end up getting knocked out, we got a 50% chance of losing an artifact. So we're going to sell that. And now she's going to purchase a gear card, which is going to cost her a total of 7 glory, and that's due to the mob's extortion ability. So we're going to pay 7 and draw a gear card. And Jenny ends up drawing a monocle, which is going to give her a cunning +1. It says, why, of course, it's elementary. Okay, so that's a gear, clothes, and glasses are its keywords. So we'll add that to her total. And then we're going to undertake that attacking a hideout. And to resolve an attack on a hideout or the mob HQ, it says any hero in a city with an outpost during their adventure phase may try to sneak in and destroy it. This can be done after drawing a city card, but may be before or after your purchase step. You choose. To attack the mob outpost, the hero must sneak in past the goons guarding the doors. Both the mob HQ and the hideouts have a search value of 8. A hero attacking the outpost must make a sneak test to get through, just like sneaking past a villain. If discovered, the players must fight mobsters in every search die that found them. These fights are resolved one at a time, and the hero has the opportunity to escape for free between each fight or roll to escape during a fight as normal. Any mobsters fought in an outpost like this are defense +1. All right, so we are going to have to make a sneak test, and their search value is 8. All right, Jenny is going to take path number 2, so we're hoping we don't roll any 2s. And they'll have 8 dice on this roll. Okay, here's our test. Believe it or not, we rolled no 2s. So that means we have successfully destroyed the hideout. That is great. We gain the bonus for destroying an outpost as normal. All right, and that says if a hero destroys one of the Vile Organization's outposts, he gains an extra bonus in addition to removing the outpost from play. The hero may choose to either take 1 artifact from the villains that they've collected, or take any fortune the villains currently have, as well as move the villain track marker D3 steps back from its current position. That's the one we're going to take. So we're going to take, they have 1 fortune in their reserve, so we'll take that, and then we're going to roll a D3 and move the villain track back that many steps. So we've taken the 1 fortune that they have, and we're going to add that to our total. It brings us up to 10 out of a required 42. And now we're going to roll a D3, and this is how much we can move the villain track back. Here's the roll on a D3. 2. All right, so that's going to reduce the villain track from 14 down to 12, and that's going to help us quite a bit. And also, most important, is we get to remove that mob hideout from the board. They're no longer going to generate a point of fortune for them during the villain phase. So that was a great start for the turn. And now we're going to move on to Angel Espinosa's turn. Now she is going to be in a combined adventure with Jake Zane, and she's going to have to share in Jake Zane's cliffhanger that he's under right now. So Angel joined Jake, and he happened to be in a cliffhanger called Out of Luck. It reads, nothing worse than a poor loser. Cliffhanger, fight, and mob. Glory of 3. We have to perform an agility 5+ test with 2 required successes, or we can fight mobsters but they're going to gain +2 fight dice. I think we're going to try the agility roll. All right, Jake is going to perform this test. He has a agility of 4, and he also has adventure boots, which will give him a +1 to his agility. So he'll be rolling 5 dice for this test. All right, here's Jake's roll. And he ended up with 1 success, so he'll be able to continue to roll. We'll give him a success token towards that cliffhanger. And then he gets to re-roll those. And all we need is 1 more to pass the test. And he easily did that. All right, so both of them are going to instantly gain 3 glory. Whenever you complete a cliffhanger, you get the glory automatically. And he can decide if they want to try to sneak past Mickey the Hammer and take another adventure. We'll have to think about that. Well, they really don't have much of a choice. The Shield of Time has that special condition on it where all dangers have to be completed during the current game round in order to count towards the acquiring that artifact. So right now they have 1 danger token that they got from passing the cliffhanger. They're going to have to try a sneak test around Mickey the Hammer. And both of them are going to choose path 5. So we're going to be rolling 4 search dice for Mickey the Hammer, and for every 5 we have to fight a round of combat against him. Okay, here's the roll. And we rolled 1 5, so we're going to have to each fight a round of combat against Mickey. All right, Jake Zane is going to be taking the combat first. He has a combat value of 4, and he's using a revolver, which will give him +2. So they'll give him a total of 6 dice. Mickey the Hammer has a combat value of 7, and he's also has a villain upgrade called Tenacious, which will give him a +1. So he'll be rolling 8 dice. He has a wound capacity of 8, but no defense. So we'll see what happens with this. Okay, here's the roll. All right, Jake Zane scored a total of 1, 2, 3 hits. All right, Mickey has no defense, so all 3 of those hits will be turned into 3 wounds. And Mickey's used up 3 of his 8 wound capacity. Now, Mickey scored a total of 1, 2, 3 hits. Jake has a defense of 1, so 1 of those will be absorbed, and Jake is going to take 2 wounds. We'll mark him accordingly. All right, now it is Angel Espinosa's turn. Angel also has a combat value of 4, but she's using an elephant gun, which gives her +3 to combat. So she'll be rolling a total of 7 dice, and Mickey will still continue with his 8. Okay, here's the roll. Okay, I'll have to re-roll that 1 die is stacked. That's a 3, so that's a miss. Okay. All right, Angel has done a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, and that's going to bring the damage to Mickey up to 7. So we'll mark him accordingly. He is 1 short of being KO'd. And Mickey ended up doing 1, 2 hits to Angel, and she has a defense of 1. So she's going to take 1 wound in the process. Now that's going to move her up to 3 wounds. She had 2 from before, so we'll mark those on the board here. And Angel's at 3 of her 5 wound capacity. All right, and that completes the sneak test. Now they can continue on with their adventure. And the next adventure is Occupied Territory. Nazis. When did they get here? Sneak out the back door, find another way out, or let them know how you feel about fascism.
Who wants to send a message to Germany?
Has a glory value of 3, and the keywords are danger and Nazi. We can either perform an agility 6+ test with needing 1 success, or a cunning 5+ with 2 successes, or we can fight a Nazi enemies card. All right, we'll think about that. I think we're going to attempt the agility test. It's a little harder than the cunning test, but Jake Zane gets, he has an agility of 4. He has +1 for his adventure boots. So that'll be a total of 5. And I think we'll give that a try. So he'll be rolling 5 dice for the test. If we have to, we do have a too close event card, which would allow us to re-roll all the dice for a single test. So, okay, here's the roll. And he failed miserably. So I guess we're going to play that too close card and have him re-roll those and see if he can get a single success here. He needs a 6. And he didn't get it. Oh my goodness. 10 dice and you can't get 1 success. All right, well, there is nothing else I can do to mitigate that. So we are going to go into a cliffhanger. And that is listed as bar fight. So we're going to lose our danger token that we had due to the nature of that shield of time. And once again, we have, we're not any closer to obtaining that artifact than we were at the beginning. Okay. All right, now we'll move on to Li Chen's adventure phase. She's currently in Western Europe, and she's seeking the Spear of Atlantis. It has a value of 5 and requires 3 dangers to be passed to obtain it. And she is in the same space as Joey Smiles, so we'll see what happens. He has 2 successes towards obtaining that artifact. All right, this will be her first adventure. And the adventure is a confrontation at the docks. Following the goons to the dock, you quickly realize they're shipping more than just simple crates. Danger, sneak, water, and mob. She can either choose an agility test 5+ with 1 success, or a cunning test 4+ needing 2 successes, or she can fight the mobsters. And I think Lee is going to use her agility. So she's going to attempt that agility 5+ test. She has an agility value of 5, so she'll be rolling 5 for the test and only needs a single success. Okay, and here's her roll. And she has 1 success, barely, but she did it. So that's a completion of that first adventure. We'll give her a danger token. And now, if she wants to press on, she's going to have to sneak past Joey Smiles. And I think at this point, there's not much choice in the matter. She's going to have to push it, and so she'll press on, and we have to attempt to sneak past Joey Smiles. He has a search value of 5, so he'll be rolling 5 dice. Lee is going to choose a search number of 6 this time. Okay, and here's the roll. And they rolled 2 6s, so we're going to have to fight 2 rounds of combat against Joey. All right, Lee has a combat value of 3, and she has a scimitar, which will give her +1 to combat. She'll be rolling 4 dice. And since that's not a gun, she's able to use her martial arts ability, which would allow her to either re-roll her misses or to force her opponent to re-roll one of his successes. Joey is going to be rolling a total of 4 dice, and he has a crazy ability and a reckless ability, which we'll see if that kicks in. Okay, here's the first round. All right, it looks like Lee has a total of 2 hits, and I think she's going to use her martial arts ability to re-roll her 2 misses. Now, Joey Smiles has an ability called Crazy. It says once per fight round, he can re-roll all of his misses. So I think that's what he's going to do. So we'll keep these off to the side. Those will be the successes for Lee, and then she's going to be re-rolling her misses, and he will re-roll his. All right, she ended up getting 2 more successes. That's a total of 4. He ended up getting 1. Now, it says here that after re-rolling, each of his fight dice that still miss cause him to have a hit himself. So he's going to inflict 1 hit, but he's going to take 3 more, which are going to be added to the total that Lee got. So he has a total of seven hits against him. His defense is 1, so that will knock 1 of those out. And he's going to be KO'd. That's a great thing for us. Lee has a defense of 1, so that will absorb her hit. So we're in pretty good shape. So Joey is KO'd. All right, so we're going to place Joey on the display as KO'd. So he's going to be down for the count for a few turns, which really helps us. And now we can continue on with our next adventure. Our next adventure is Crumbling Ruins. The ancient ruin is falling apart around you as you pick your way through the crumbling architecture. She has to perform an Agility 4+ test needing 3 successes and a Cunning 4+ test needing 3 successes. Okay, that's kind of a tough one. All right, Lee has a agility value of 5, so she'll be rolling 5 dice for this agility test. We'll start with that. And here's a roll. And she has 2 successes, so we will give her 2 success markers towards that, completing that adventure. She needs 1 more. And she got it, so that's no problem there. We'll give her another one, and we'll stack those up. That'll be 3 successes towards her agility test. Now she has to do the cunning test. Now her cunning is a 3, and I have no way to advance that any, so we'll have to be rolled 3 dice for this next test. Let's see if she can do this. And she gets 2 successes. That's great. We'll mark her with 2 successes for the cunning test. And if she can get 1 more, we'll be in really good shape. She did it. All right, so she has completed that Crumbling Ruins adventure. So we're going to mark her with a 2nd danger token. And that's going to give her 2 more glory, potentially. Put these back. And now that Joey Smiles is no longer there, she can just continue on with the adventures without having to try to get past him. All right, and if she can complete this adventure, that would be 3 dangers, and she would be able to acquire the Spear of Atlantis. Now this one is called Quicksand. Danger, quicksand. You've stumbled into quicksand. Get free before you sink. She has to pass an Agility 5+ test with 2 successes needed. Now she's not in a jungle, so that's good. It says here, if the test is failed, do not flip to cliffhanger. Instead, discard an ally that is with you and take the test again. If you fail and have no allies with you, flip to the cliffhanger. So, all right, so we want to try to pass this. Now, Lee has a agility of 5, so she'll be rolling 5 dice. And I hope she can pass this. She needs 2 successes. And she easily passed it. Fantastic. So she is going to gain all the glory that she had from the previous 2. She'll gain 4 from the confrontation at the docks, 2 for the Crumbling Ruins, and 3 for this quicksand, in addition to acquiring the artifact. Outstanding. All right, so that's going to complete the turn for Li Mei Chen. We would move on to Jake Zane, but he's currently in that cliffhanger with Angel Espinosa in the Caribbean. So that'll complete our adventure phase. We'll move on to the villain phase. And we'll begin the villain phase with a villain event draw. And the card's revealed to be Dark Rituals. Play this card on the table. While the villains have at least 1 artifact that is magic, roll a d6 at the start of each villain phase. On a roll of 4, 5, or 6, move the villain track 1 step forward. Remains in play. Well, let's take a look and see if they have any magic artifacts yet. And they do. They have the Clasp of the Dark Fire, which is a magic item. So, That means that they're going to be rolling a d6 at the start of each villain phase. I don't know if that includes this one or not. Well, I would guess not, because the card didn't exist at the start of the phase, so I guess it's how you define start of the phase. Well, the rules don't specify what constitutes the start of a villain phase, but I'm going to play it with the advantage to the villains. So we're going to give them a roll and see if they're able to move that track by 1. Here's the roll. He rolled a 2. Okay, so there's no damage to us from that. We'll place that Dark Rituals card that remains in play on the villain card. All right, next, the villains get to do their outpost step, and they will be making a roll to place a mob thug on the board. A roll of a 4, 5, or 6 will be successful. Okay, there is success, so we'll draw a city card, location card, and find out where it goes. And that's in Los Angeles. Okay, so there is none in Los Angeles right now, so we'll place one in Los Angeles. And we have to do a reshuffle of the location deck. And now the villains will gain 1 fortune for each of their hideouts. They only have 1 now because Jenny Butler destroyed the one that was in Washington, D.C. So they're going to gain 1 fortune token. And we'll add that to their board. They have a total of 1 right now. And now the villain adventure step. We'll begin with Joey Smiles. He is KO'd, so he's going to move to the delayed status. And next is Mickey the Hammer Schultz. He is deployed in the Caribbean. He has 7 wounds on himself right now. So he's going to make a search roll looking for the Shield of Time. And his search value is a 4. So he'll be rolling 4 dice, and it says here blunt. When searching, he gets a wound on a 1 or 2. So that could kill him because he's at 7 of 8 wounds right now. So he'll be rolling 4 search dice, and that artifact has a danger value of 3. So if he gets 3 successes, he's going to gain the artifact. Here's the roll. And he got 4 successes. So he is going to collect that artifact. That's going to give them +2 to the villain track. That moves them to 14 now. And he is going to deploy back to headquarters in a ready state, and they're going to gain the Shield of Time. That's unfortunate. And now we go to the end phase, and during the end phase there are 2 Crimson Hand acolytes deployed to the board. They are each going to gain 1 success towards obtaining the artifacts of the spaces they're in. So the one in Italy and the one in the steppes, both of those are going to gain a success. None of our heroes are KO'd, so we don't need to worry about them, and we do have to replace 2 artifacts. First one is the Mine of the Azure Jewel. It has a collapse value of 2, and that is a temple. So we're going to be placing a temple on the board, and that's going to go in the Heartland. So we'll place that in the Heartland, and we'll assign that one of the danger tokens. And the next artifact is the Skull of the Damned. It has a fortune value of 4, 3 dangers. It has a curse. After completing each danger, roll a d6. On a 1, 2, or 3, take a wound. That's going to appear in Eastern Europe. So we will assign that to Eastern Europe. And that is going to complete the turn. The villains are at 14. Now the bad part is we have 2 characters that are involved in a cliffhanger right now, and there is no artifact there. They're still going to have to undergo the cliffhanger. So we're in really bad shape here. I have no alternative but to try to attack a mob headquarters or a mob hideout. There's really no choice in the matter. And we're ready to start a new round, and we'll roll for initiative. Here's the roll. Okay, the initiative is going to go to Angel Espinosa, and Li Mei Chen will draw an event card. She rolled a 1. And the card she gets is Betrayal, Sabotage. Choose an ally in play to make a Loyalty 5+ test. If failed, they are discarded, and the hero must immediately retake any test just passed. Or play while in the same space as a villain to immediately do D6 hits to that villain. Okay, that's good. So we'll add that to our list of cards. And our first player is going to be Angel Espinoza. All right, we'll roll for movement for Angel. She is currently in a cliffhanger. So all this roll is going to do is decide if she gets to have a event card. Here's the roll. She does not. We'll move on to Li Mei Chen. She is in Western Europe. Okay, Li is going to roll for movement. And she rolls a 4. So we'll decide where we're going to move her to. Well, right now we only have 10 fortune and we need 42 because of the Gold Fever card that we have. So, and the villains are at 14 out of 15 on the villain track. Oh boy, that's a tough one. Well, desperate times call for desperate measures. My best operative has been Li Mei Chen during this game, so she's going to take a pretty radical approach to this. What she's going to do, she's going to spend 1 movement point to move into the British Isles, another movement point to move to London, and she's going to fly, costing us 2 fortune. She's going to fly to Los Angeles, where she'll combat the gangster thug, and then if she can get past that, she'll end up eventually, hopefully, attacking that mob hideout. And then I'm going to have Jenny Butler. She's going to move out of Washington, D.C. and try to get to Chicago, and we'll attack the mob HQ there. It's the only way I can bring the villain track down. So that's what we'll do. Li is going to fly to Los Angeles. That'll cost us 2 fortune, and then we'll have to have a combat out of sequence against the mob thugs. All right, the mobsters have 3 fight dice, and they hold up to 4 wounds. And Li has a combat value of 3, and with her scimitar, she'll be adding 1 to that, so she'll be rolling 4 dice. And here's our combat for the first round. All right, Li has done a total of 4 hits. So she's going to take out those mobsters, no doubt about that. They only had 4 wounds. They have no defense. So she's killed that thug. The thugs do 2 hits to her. One of her defense will be using one of those up. So she's going to end up going to take 1 wound. So we'll mark her with 1 wound. But the mobster thug is gone. And that's going to complete Li's movement phase. We'll move on to Jake Zane. He is in the Caribbean, but he's in a cliffhanger. So all we can do is roll for a event card for him. And here's his roll for movement. He did roll a 1, so he's going to draw an event card. And that is revealed to be, oh boy, Spread of the Crimson Hand. Play immediately. Place a Crimson Hand Alkalite on any 2 artifact adventures. Oh, jeez. All right, well, we'll have to do that. Well, we're going to place one of them, I think, in Eastern Europe, and that's the Skull of the Damned artifact. And I think I'll have to place one in the Heartland. Now, the problem with that is that's going to be generating 1 fortune out of that temple each turn, no matter what I do. It's going to be propelling the villains towards victory because they're going to be gaining either 2 success tokens towards 2 danger tokens towards the adventures, or, well, Eastern Europe has 3, the other ones are 4. Either way, yeah, it's I guess we'll put it into the Heartland. All right. And finally, we've got Jenny Butler. She's currently in Washington, D.C., and I want to try to get her to the Mob HQ in Chicago. So we're going to roll a die for movement, and if she can get a 2 or greater, she'll be able to get there. Okay, here's the roll. Oh, and she rolled a 1. Okay, boy, I guess I could fly her there. That would take up another 2 fortune. Oh my goodness. I can't believe my luck on the rolls. I don't think we have a choice. I'm going to have to spend 2 fortune to fly her from Washington, D.C. to Chicago. There's no choice in the matter. So that'll move our fortune down to 6, and then we got to draw an event card. And that event card is revealed to be too close. Play to force a test. Just roll to be entirely re-rolled. All right, so that's a good card. All right, that completes the movement step. We'll go on to our adventure phase. And we're going to begin our adventure phase with Angel Espinosa. She and Jake are currently in a cliffhanger called Bar Fight. And with that card, it says, well, that didn't work. Things have erupted into a full-on bar fight. This could get messy. Draw a Nazi enemies card. It gains +2 fight dice. Okay. And the card's revealed to be a Nazi officer.
Who wants to send a message to Germany?
You must fight Nazi soldiers. All right, and so he's going to augment that Nazi soldiers card. So we're going to get that out and see what their characteristics are. And the Nazi soldiers have 4 fight dice and 3 wounds. So that's what we're going to have to fight. So that means they'll have a total of 5 fight dice with 3 wounds. I think we'll start out with Jake Zane. He has 2 wound tokens right now. He has a fight value of 4 plus his revolver of 2, which will give him 6 fight dice. So they're going to have 5 and Jake will have 6. Now that Nazi officer is going to give them a defense of +1, so this is going to be tough. Okay, here's the roll. All right, let's see what happens. The Nazis ended up with a total of 1 hit. And our defense is going to take that up, so there's no problems there. Jake ended up with 2 successes. One of those will be absorbed by their defense, so that means that the Nazis will have 1 wound. Okay, we'll move on to Angel Espinosa. Now, Angel has an item called Elephant Gun, and it says you may ignore the enemy's defense. That also gives her a +3 to combat. So she'll be rolling 7 dice, and the Nazis are rolling a total of 5. So she can ignore their defense with that Elephant Gun. Here's the roll. Okay, we'll have to roll one of these again. Cock die. And that's a miss. All right. Angel has done a total of 3 hits. Ignoring defense is going to take out the Nazis. They have done a total of 3 wounds to her. Her defense is a 1, so she'll be taking 2 wounds, and unfortunately that is going to KO her. So each of them are going to earn a total of 7 glory. She's KO'd, and we'll have to roll for the loss of her artifact. Well, the first thing we have to do is roll a d6 and find out how much glory or items and allies that Angel has to give up. Okay, here's her roll. So she's going to give up 2 of her glory, and that will leave her with a total of 15. Now we have to roll a die and see if she is going to lose the artifact that she has with her. On a roll of 1, 2, or 3, the artifact is gone. Here's the roll. And it's gone. Okay, so that one is put into the discard pile, and then she is going to return in prone position back to her starting city, which is Mexico City. All right, now we're going to move on to Li Mei Chen. She is in Los Angeles, and we have to start with a city adventure. And she draws a secret delivery. You have been given a secret package to deliver to Hong Kong. Discard while in the named city. during your adventure phase, and she can gain D6 fortune. Okay. Well, Lee just happens to have one of those secret delivery cards, and it's for Los Angeles. So we're going to roll a D6, and she's going to gain that amount of fortune. And here's the roll. Well, she gained 2 fortune. Okay. And now she has the choice of either going after that mob hideout now or after she interacts with the city. Well, I'm going to have her interact with the city. We'll see if we can get her some kind of an item of some kind. And I guess I'm going to have her buy a gear card. Now that's going to cost her a total of 7. So we'll pay the 7 glory. And we'll get her a gear card. And that one is revealed to be a cigar. Gives her +1 to her wounds. So that's pretty good. We'll take that. Well, Lee has 1 wound, so I think we'll pay a point to get rid of that wound token. So we'll use 1 of our glory, and that will get her back to full health. And now we don't have much of a choice. We're going to attack that hideout in Los Angeles. And to do that, we have to go through, the hideout has a search value of 8. And we're going to have to pick a search number, and I think I'm going to pick the number 2 this time. We'll see if she can somehow avoid those people that are guarding, the thugs that are guarding it, and go in and destroy it. So we're going to have to make a search roll of 8 dice, and for every time we roll a 2, we'll have to fight a round of combat against a, we have to fight a mobster thug. It's not just a round of combat, you have to fight an entire mobster thug. All right, we've selected the search number of 2, and here is the mob hideout's attempt to find Lee Mei Chen. And it ended up they have 1 success, so we have to fight 1 mobster thug in order to successfully destroy that mob hideout. Those mobsters have a fight dice value of 3 with 4 wounds, and they also get a +1 defense being at that hideout. Lee is going to be attacking using 3 combat and +1 for her scimitar. So she'll be rolling 4 dice. And here's the roll for that first round. All right, the mobsters ended up getting 2 successes. Lee ended up getting, the mobsters got 2 successes, and Lee ended up getting 2 successes. So she's going to use her martial arts ability to allow her to re-roll 2 of her misses. And so right now, mobsters have 2, and we have 2. Okay, here's her re-roll of her failed dice. She ended up with an extra 1, so that gives her a total of 3. Now, the mobsters have a defense of 1. That will take 1 of those out. I should actually make sure I can see this. I'll zoom out a bit. 1 of those will be gone because of the defense, and they have a defense. So she's going to do 2 wounds to the mobsters, and they do 1 to her, and we'll mark those accordingly. All right, and now we can do another round of combat. Okay, here's the roll. And we did pretty good there, and she did it. She has 3 hits. 1 of those is going to be gone. That will inflict 2 more wounds, giving them a total of 4. Mobsters are gone. They inflicted a total of 1 on her. Her defense will absorb that. So we've successfully infiltrated the mob hideout and destroyed it. So Lee is going to gain 3 glory for defeating those mobsters. The mob hideout is now gone, and as a reward we can take all the fortune that they have stored up and move the villain track down D3 spaces, which is what we're going to do. So we're going to make a D3 roll, and this is how much we can move that villain track down. And we rolled a 2, so that's going to reduce it down from 14 down to 12, so that helps. And that's going to complete Lee's turn. And now we would move on to Jake Zane. Well, he was involved in that cliffhanger, so his adventure phase has already ended. And we'll move on now to Jenny Butler. She is in Chicago. And Jenny is there to attempt to take out the mob headquarters, but first she has to do a city adventure. And that card is revealed to be Downtown Car Chase. It says, lose them down a back alley or outrun them in traffic. We have to do a Cunning 5+ test with 2 successes or an Agility test 6+ with 1 success. That's what we need to do. Well, Jenny is going to take the Cunning test. She has a Cunning of 3. She also gains 1 for her monocle and 1 for her personal butler. So she'll be rolling a total of 5 dice for this test. All right, and here's the roll. And she has a total of 2 successes. She's got 2, and that's just what we needed to complete the adventure. That means she's going to gain 3 glory, and then we can go into a interaction with the city. Well, she has a total of 4 glory, so we would be able to get her another ally if we choose. She does have that entourage card, which would allow her to carry 3 more allies than normal, so I think we'll do that. She has that Starlit ability, which allows her to buy allies for 2 less than normal. So we've paid the 3 glory, and that allows her to draw an ally card, and she got Manticore, ally, animal, sidekick, and horse, +2 agility, and she gains +2 movement each turn and may draw an event on a move roll of 1 or 2. All right, that's great. And now she's going to attempt to infiltrate that mob headquarters. So they're going to be making a search 8 roll for her. We have to pick an avenue, and I think I'm going to select 5. So for every 5 that is rolled, we have to fight a mob thug. All right, and here's the search roll. And they ended up with 1 success. So one of the group of thugs found her, and we'll have to have a combat against a mob thug. Now Jenny has a combat value of 2, but she also has that competitive ability against mobsters, so she's going to gain +2 fight dice. She'll be rolling 4 dice. The mobsters will be rolling 3, but they're going to gain a +1 defense. And here's round 1 of the fight. All right, Jenny scored a total of 3 hits. The mobsters scored 1. So her defense will take out that hit from the mobsters. She scored 3. 1 of those will be absorbed by their defense. They're going to get 2 wounds. So she did a pretty good job on the first round. She's undamaged, and 2 wounds are on the mobsters. We'll fight another round. Okay, here's the next roll. Okay, we got to re-roll that one. It's a miss. All right, they did a total of 2 hits to her. 1 of those will be absorbed by her defense. She did 1, and their defense will absorb that. So she's going to gain a wound. And we're going to do another round. Okay, here's the next round. Jenny did no hits. The mob did 1, so the defense will be absorbed, and no wounds are taken. We'll have to do another round. And that time, Jenny got a total of 2 hits. 1 of those is taken out with defense. She's going to get another wound on the mobsters. That's their 3rd. They did 2 to her. 1 of those is absorbed by defense, and she gains her 2nd wound. So we'll have to fight 1 more round. And here's the roll. And that time, she did it. She has a total of 4 hits. That'll inflict 3 wounds on them. That'll take out the mobsters. They've done a total of 3 hits to her. 1 of those will be absorbed by defense. She's going to gain 2 wounds. That puts her up to 4, but she's still good because her wound capacity is 5. So she's taken the mobsters out. She's going to earn 3 glory for that. And better yet, she takes out the mob HQ, and we get to make a D3 roll and find out how much we can move that villain track down. And here's the roll. And we're able to move that villain track down 3 points. That moves it from 12 down to 9, and that's going to buy us quite a bit of time. Now this Mob HQ is temporarily off the board. It is going to resurface somewhere. Well, that was about the best we could hope for, and that is going to complete our adventure phase. We'll move on to the villain phase. And we'll begin the villain phase with a villain event draw. And before we actually do the villain event draw, we have to take care of this Dark Rituals card. And that says that while the villains have at least one artifact that is magic, roll a d6 at the start of the villain phase, and on a 4, 5, or 6, they'll move the track up 1. So that's what we're going to do. So here is their roll. And they did. They rolled a 4, so that will increase it up to 10 now. Their villain track is at 10. And now we're going to draw our villain event card. And that card is revealed to be Dark Mastery. This card plays on the table. While the villains have at least one artifact that is death, anytime a hero rolls a 1 for movement, they must immediately fight zombies outside of the normal turn of sequence. Whoa, that is not good. I think we are going to play a card that says, I don't think so. Play to cancel any event card or villain event, and that's what we're going to do. We got to cancel it because we'd be rolling every movement time. Anytime we rolled a 1, we'd be fighting zombies, so we got to get rid of that. That's gone. Okay, next is the outpost phase, and believe it or not, they have no outposts on the board. The Mob HQ has been taken out, and all of their hideouts have been taken out. We did a good job with that. And it says here that if the Mob HQ is ever destroyed, it will be placed back on the board in a random city during the next end phase. So we'll take care of that in the end phase. Now it's going to be the villain adventure step. And with the villain adventure step, we'll start with Joey Smiles. He's delayed right now, so he's going to move into a ready condition at his base of operations. And then Mickey the Hammer Schultz is ready. He's going to deploy to the largest value artifact on the board, and that's going to be the Mine of the Azure Jewel, which is located in the Heartland. So that's where he is going to deploy. And that will complete the villain phase. We'll move on to the end phase. In the first part of the end phase, we have to deal with these acolytes. Each of the acolytes is going to gain a success towards the artifact that they're on. So that means each of these is going to gain 1 success token towards getting that artifact. And the one that is at the temple is going to gain 1 fortune out of that temple. So that'll move the fortune value from 8 down to 7, and the mob is going to gain a fortune token. And that means one danger token will be added to that temple, and it has a collapse value of 2, so we'll be rolling for a collapse next time. Okay, next are any heroes we have are going to, that are knocked out, will stand up, and that's going to be Angel Espinosa in Mexico City. And we don't need to replenish any artifacts, so that will complete the turn. And this video is getting quite long, so I think we'll have to return for a 4th video. So I'll close out the video here. Right now the villains are at 10 on the villain track. We've managed to collect only 9 fortune out of 42 that we need. So we still have a ways to go here, but definitely we've made progress in preventing the villains from just winning the game. So, all right, we're going to close out right now. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again at the Solo Gamers Club for episode 4 of Fortune and Glory. Thanks, and have a good evening.